I never saw on the 6 o'clock news, I never saw an image of a woman, never, in a uniform.
Lieutenant Diane Carlson Evans wondered where the women in the Vietnam War were. Her oldest brother enlisted, and another brother had already been drafted.
I decide that if my brothers have to serve, why shouldn't I?
She had 1 year left in nursing school when she enlisted. Her father was angry, but it was nothing compared to his reaction the morning she left.
I said, well, Dad, we're leaving. And my undemonstrative father came up to me and gave me a big hug and started to cry. And he said, I have 4 sons and I send my daughter off to war. I'll never forget that.
When she arrived in Vietnam, she was shocked at the horrors of war.
For nurses and doctors and us medical workers, you're not prepared for the numbers. You're not prepared for the sheer tragedy of it all. You just go out behind the hooch and you throw up when your first casualties come in, or you literally wet your pants. I mean, literally, you're so terrified. Your psyche takes over and you stop thinking about yourself. It's that patient you have to think about.
Despite the danger, Carlson Evans was willing to treat anyone who came into the hospital.
So 4 armed guards with their weapons in hand came to the door, and I could see it was a POW. They said, Lieutenant, we have to stabilize him here till we can deal with him. So when I go for my bandage scissors, the POW grabs me with one arm around my neck and grabs the bandage scissors with the other and attempts to go like this. He doesn't want me to touch him.
Carlson Evans was among more than 10,000 nurses who served in Vietnam. Like the soldiers, they also struggled with memories of the war.
I felt like I had practiced a lifetime of nursing in 1 year. I was not young when I came home. I went as 21 and I came home old.
As hard as it was, Carlson Evans says she wouldn't change her decision to serve.
I did the right thing, and it was a privilege for me to do what I did in Vietnam. It's the greatest privilege I've ever had.
It was like the whole community turned out for an anti-war demonstration.
John Philip Garrity clearly remembers marching with fellow protesters in Missoula, Montana in October of 1969. Garrity's protest came with a different perspective than most.
I'm a Vietnam vet and I'm anti-war. I came back already primed because of what I was seeing, that war made absolutely no sense to me, that on top of patriotism and country and everything, war was just utter insanity.
Garrity served as a Specialist 6th class in the U.S. Army. He spent 5 months near the front lines.
You can't unremember, friends that were killed, the 2 medics that were killed, the company commander that was killed. You can't unlearn that.
Less than a month after he returned home, Garrity joined the protests.
I was trying to do something helpful. I was speaking against war.
Army Sergeant Richard Snoop Champion had a different experience with protesters when he returned.
We got attacked for wearing our uniforms. I mean, what the hell? I'm proud of my uniform. How dare they? If it wasn't for me doing what I was doing, they couldn't do what they were doing.
Sergeant Champion spent a year in the highlands of Vietnam, serving as point man on the front lines. He looked for booby traps, ambush spots, and broke trail for the rest of the troops. Despite the dangers in Vietnam, Champion says he felt more attacked when he returned to the United States.
I never felt so alone, deserted, and hateful as when I came back to the United States. We come back as the media put it, we're butcherers, baby killers, drug addicts. Nobody wants us. We're nothing but killers.
The peace people that are saying baby killer to the veterans and the like are people of violence. They're not peace people.
Garrity believes you can be pro-peace and pro-soldier. Champion adds that Montana has treated veterans well.
At least in Montana, I still get tapped on the shoulder and my hand shook and getting thank you for serving. I've never been any place really other than Montana that a stranger walks up and says that to me.
lot of soldiers come home with PTSD. They have startle response. You know, if I hear a backfire or a sudden loud noise or something, I mean, you train yourself to not hit the ground.
The kids could not come behind me and scare me, and they thought it was a joke, because Mom would I would jump and I would scream, or I'd even hit the floor.
I think the memories are the worst thing. You know, I grew up next to a kid with the same socioeconomic, same class, same grade, same Eagle Scout, same everything. And he goes off to college in his life or a job or whatever, and I come home from Vietnam. It's never the same.
Sometimes I'm self-conscious about being so preoccupied with that short period of my life. Yeah.
I told my husband once, we were driving and I couldn't stop thinking about things. And I told Mike, I said, I want to cut my head off. I want a new head. I have to start over. I cannot live with what's in my head.
Like I said, it took 15 years after the Vietnam War ended before the country would recognize the issues and that they needed help.
There's still some guys that can't talk about their experiences. And we all know enough to don't push them, because powder keg can explode. Now, if they want to talk about it, we just let them talk at their own time. Talking about it is good therapy. And I've told some of the guys, you know, hey, if you want to talk, I'll listen. I did contact a vet center, which we're just opening then to help Vietnam vets, and started the process of remembering. Yeah, it's the only reason I can talk to you right now is because I've gone through the recovery of PTSD and have learned that I don't ever want to forget it.